The waves of Pepperdine have headed north to Spokane, Washington to try to do something nobody's been able to do so far this season, and that is knock off #1 unbeaten Gonzaga. And if you were as good as these guys were, you'd be having that much fun too. Corey Kispert and company 12-0, the best offensive team in the nation. Hi, everybody. Good to have you with us. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis along for Pepperdine and Gonzaga. Jay, what do you like so much about these Zags?
There's nothing not to like about Gonzaga, Dan. It's the best team in the country, and as you say, the best offensive team in the country because they've got multiple playmakers, even coming off the bench. They've got 3 stars that lead the way, led by Corey Kispert, but they're just a fabulous passing team. They all know how to play. They all share the ball, and they're an excellent cutting and finishing team. Corey Kispert having a historic season, averaging over 20 a game, shooting 65% from the field. Drew Timme inside and out, shooting 61% from the field as well as Timme, and also Jalen Suggs, who's going to be a lottery pick whenever he decides to go to the NBA, leading this team in assists. He averaged 5 rebounds, 14 points, and that doesn't even cover Joel Ayayi's just coming off the first ever triple-double in Gonzaga history. It's just an outstanding basketball team, really, and loaded at every position.
Really an embarrassment of riches for Mark Few and Gonzaga. Don't you dare call this team a mid-major. This is an outstanding, good as it gets college basketball program. Mark Few knew he had a good team loaded up in the non-conference, played a very tough schedule, a number of highly ranked teams, beat them all and beat most of them convincingly. Tonight on the other side, Jay, they'll see one of the best point guards on the West Coast in Colby Ross.
And really one of the best point guards in the country. Colby Ross leads the West Coast Conference in assists. He's second in points per game to Corey Kispert. He just knows how to play, knows how to get fouled. One of the top assist guys, average over 7 assists a game. One of the top assist guys in the country. Gonzaga's got to keep him from having a great game.
Second time around for Lorenzo Romar at Pepperdine. Coached him for a few years back in the late 90s. This is his 3rd year of his 2nd stint. Longer stints at St. Louis and especially Washington. Gonzaga 12-0 in the season, 39 in a row against Pepperdine. That goes back about 18, 19 years, and we'll see how it turns out tonight. For Pepperdine, this is their first game in 23 days. They are coming off a lengthy COVID pause, but on a positive note, they do have their entire roster available to them for the first time all season. Not only did they deal with COVID issues, Jay, they've dealt with a number of injuries as well.
Yeah, very difficult for Pepperdine to get any continuity on the season. In the first possession, Gonzaga goes man-to-man. They double the post. They are switching just about everything. Gonzaga doesn't get enough credit for being a good defensive team. They're in the top 25 in the country defensively from an efficiency standpoint. It's just their offense is so powerful. That's going to make every headline.
Yeah, offensively in terms of efficiency, #1, just ahead of Iowa. And you look at some of the point totals Gonzaga's put up. They scored 102 against Kansas. They scored 98 against Virginia. Corey Kispert had 9 threes in that game, and they're coming off a win at Portland in which they scored 116 points.
98 against Virginia seems like a point total you'd have if you played them twice.
Right.
You know, the idea that you did that in 40 minutes really just shows just how powerful this Gonzaga offense can be.
Drew Timme, a big guy with so much skill, has it swatted away, and it'll still be Gonzaga ball. There are 3 mid-season Wooden Award candidates on the Gonzaga roster. Drew Timme, Jalen Suggs, and Corey Kispert. Only 2 other programs, Illinois and Villanova, even have 2 players on the Wooden mid-season 25, and Gonzaga's got 3.
And each one of those players, Dan, can give you 25 in a heartbeat in any given game.
Timme lost the handle, ball still loose, and a fortunate bounce for the Zags. Shot clock did not reset. Timme looking for help. Suggs the extra pass. Kispert for 3, not there.
A good block out by Kenneth Chukwuka there on Anton Watson. You know, Gonzaga doesn't look sharp right now. Usually the ball moves, there's player movement. They haven't had that the first couple possessions.
They are 3-0 in league play under Mark Few, who's had such a remarkable run in Spokane. Better than 600 wins in his career and a winning percentage of better than 83%.
What Mark Few has done at Gonzaga is absolutely mind-boggling. And it's beyond a great job.
Can we say future Hall of Famer without any hesitation?
Zero hesitation.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as they have another vote, I can't imagine that he's not getting in.
The first bucket of the game finally comes, and it belongs to Pepperdine. Victor Ohia Obioha, a 6'9" junior from Nigeria, gives the Waves an early lead.
A shot blocker and a rim runner, and that was typical of a rim run, but they got out in transition because Gonzaga has not run good offense thus far in the game.
And forgive me, it was Chukwuka on the bucket, giving Pepperdine the early lead, and then Gonzaga comes back with a basket at the other end to tie it, so it's 2-2, 2.5 minutes in. Chukwuka for the three, not there, and down with a rebound is Kispert, a senior who toyed with the idea of turning pro, found out what he needed to work on. Probably would have been a second-round pick, came back, and he has gone from an extremely good player, Jay, to an outstanding All-American caliber player in his senior year.
No, he's a great player. He can play anywhere on the floor. He's 6'7", big-time jump shooter. Gets high up on that jump shot with a high release, can shoot it off the catch. He really hunts that shot. And you saw there on that last play, the cross-court pass. They're always looking for the open man. For Gonzaga, their go-to guy is the open man on every possession. That's a great way to play.
Joel Ayayi comes up with the steal. Little give and go. Bounce pass to Suggs. And then Ayayi is there to clean it up. A 6'5" guard who averages better than 8 rebounds per game.
He's their leading rebounder. As you say, it's 6'5" and thin. Gets 2 offensive rebounds a game. And it's not just that he pursues the ball and has a nose for it. He goes to the glass every possession. One of the reasons that Ayayi gets so many rebounds is because he goes to the glass. Not all players do that.
Shot clock down to 7. Ross with a step-back jumper, not there, and the rebound to Kispert.
Well guarded by Anton Watson, an excellent athlete. When your 6'8" guy can switch out on the opposing point guard and do that good a job, you got a pretty good defense.
Kispert open for 3, and after the Waves scored the first bucket of the game, it's a 10-0 run right now for the Zags.
If Corey Kispert is allowed to shoot the ball from the catch spot, he's tough enough to deal with on the move. That's way too easy for Gonzaga. Just a really good job by Ohia Obioha to set a screen, just roll right to the basket. But if you don't make Corey Kispert put the ball on the floor before he shoots it, he's going to tear you apart.
Timmy will line up a 3. And we get a foul going against Watson of the Zags to take us to our first media timeout with the #1 team in the nation leading by 6 in the early going. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit Progressive.com. Gonzaga up by 6 in the early going. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Corey Kispert, Jay, already with a couple of threes, and both set up by nice passes.
Well, this is an outstanding passing team. Ayayi with that right-hand pass cross-court. And you see Kispert, who's got great footwork. His shot preparation is excellent. Just a beautiful stroke and does a great job. A guy who can shoot it that well isn't just going to get catch-and-shoot shots whenever he feels like it. He's constantly moving. He turns as he's getting into his shot. Just a magnificent basketball player that's really gotten better year after year to get to this point.
You can see 73% from 2, 61% overall field goal percentage, 48% from 3, and not surprisingly, a very good free throw shooter as well, 87% from the line. What an unbelievably productive player Corey Kispert has been this season.
And it's amazing how many points in the paint that Gonzaga scores. And it's not because, they jam it inside to Drew Timme. It's because they're such a good cutting team and they get so much in transition. So they actually get a lot of layups.
Well, here's a crazy stat for you. You and I were talking about this. One thing Gonzaga does not do a ton of is shoot the three. I mean, they can do it, but they're not an outstanding three-point shooting team as Johnny Smith comes up with a bucket for the Waves. But we mentioned that Gonzaga just scored 116 points at Portland in their last game. They had 4 threes in the game and scored 116 points.
Yeah, it's really remarkable. I mean, Kispert is their best three-point shooter. He's got 37 threes, including the 2 he made early on in this game. But after that, it's Jalen Suggs and Joel Ayayi. Other than that, there aren't a ton of shooters.
Right there are the Zags at their best. They don't finish, but terrific in transition and rewarded with a trip to the free throw line.
Well, they've got so many handlers, guys that can rebound and bring it up themselves. I mean, including Drew Timme has done that. I mean, he did it against Portland, grabbed a rebound, brought it up on his own. And he also had 26 points in that game. But you've got multiple guys that can rip and run. They grab the board, they bring it up. You don't have to waste time making an outlet pass. And guys run, and they run to the rim. It's really it's a beautiful offense to watch because it's not based upon set plays. It's based upon actions and then reads that the players make based on those actions. And all of them are smart, and all of them know how to play. The 1-2-2 3/4 court pressure, Gonzaga's run that forever.
Andre Ball with the elbow jumper, a cousin of Lonzo, LaMelo, the Ball family, a little bit strong on that one. Kispert thought about it. Instead, Timme gets a touch, but he left it short. Ball's loose. Ayayi comes up with it, and the Zags retain possession. In and out for Kispert. Look at the effort by Suggs to keep it alive, but it goes over to the Waves. Ross in transition takes a bump and turns it over.
But he's a little upset that he didn't get a foul called there. He's really 1-on-4.
Look at Timme, a big guy who handled and passed and played guard before a growth spurt in high school, and he has retained, Jay, all of those perimeter skills.
And we were just talking about guys that can bring it up, and Timmy's one of them. And he initiates the offense and gives a little Euro step, a little in and out move, and goes right over the top of Chukwuka, who's a terrific athlete and a good defender. But he's more of a post defender, and Timme took advantage of him in a little bit more open space.
And you saw his numbers on the season, terrific. He's had some big games, 29 against Virginia, 25 against Kansas.
Timme's from Texas and gave a good look, almost wound up going to Texas Tech, but when he was making a decision, he wound up telling Texas Tech head coach Chris Beard that, I really like Gonzaga's style of play and their coaching staff. And Chris told me, he goes, what was I going to do? Tell them the coaches aren't good guys? He goes, they're the best, they're the best guys there are. He says they can make them into a pro. How am I going to argue with that?
Right. Hey, Chris Beard got a big win last night, didn't he? Mac McClung with the game winner to beat the Longhorns in Austin.
Yeah, that was a great win for Texas Tech, and they showed a ton of toughness coming back in that game because they could have packed it in.
Ross knocks down a 3 for Pepperdine to get him back within 7. What do you think it's like for a team like the Waves, Jay? Lorenzo Romar's team has not played in 23 days because of COVID. How tough is that?
Well, it's really difficult, and although Florida State might say it's not so bad, I mean, Florida State just came off a pause, and they wound up scoring over 100 against NC State and shot over 70%.
Yeah.
So I don't think it bothered the Seminoles that badly, but just not having the continuity of being able to practice. I mean, Pepperdine couldn't really practice. They had kind of more individual work for the longest time, so they're not going to be, you would imagine they're not going to be as sharp and maybe as physical as they'd like to be in a game where you need to be.
Another great feed inside, and the beneficiary is Ayayi for the easy bucket. And Florida State dismantled NC State last night as Ross gets a floater to go on the baseline. You and I'll see the Seminoles against North Carolina Saturday at noon.
Florida State's got so much depth. I mean, it's like watching a hockey team when they make a line change.
And we're going to push underneath going against Pepperdine as Ayayi was in there hunting a rebound again at the offensive end.
Yeah, it's so hard to block out Ayayi because he's coming from the perimeter. And the truth is most wings aren't used to on the perimeter turning around and blocking out. They're used to just going and getting the ball. And Ayayi can be quicker to the ball than a lot of the wings he plays against.
Aaron Cook to inbound it for Gonzaga, a grad transfer by way of Southern Illinois, who has given the Zags some nice minutes. Really good veteran quality depth off the bench at the point guard spot. Another great feed. That was from Andrew Nembhard to Oumar Ballo, but Ballo couldn't finish it.
Nembhard is such a good passer and a good player, and he's excellent in pick and rolls. I think Mark Few has called him surgical in the way he dissects a pick and roll.
He came up with a loose ball, finds a wide open Kispert, who misses the three.
He doesn't miss many of those, does he?
No. Made a couple early, 2 for 4 on the night from three-point range. Colby Ross, the leader for Pepperdine. No active player has more career assists than the guy with the ball right now with Ross, who drives and draws the foul and will be at the free throw line when we come back. Well, Jalen Suggs, an outstanding basketball player. Pretty good at another sport, too. Maybe this will give you a hint. We'll talk about it when we come back. Jalen Suggs, the highest ranked recruit ever for the Gonzaga Bulldogs, ranked number 6 in the ESPN 100, but he also was an outstanding football player in high school, and Jay, we see evidence of that in the way he plays basketball.
Well, Dan, years ago when I was a kid, a person was described as a great athlete if they played multiple sports. Now great athlete seems to mean run and jump at a high level, sort of world-class athlete in that regard. Jalen Suggs is both. Like, he's a world-class athlete in his ability to run and jump and how explosive he is, but he's also a great athlete, and he excels at multiple sports. I mean, this guy is a big-time basketball player. And look, I don't know a ton about football, but told he could have been a great college and eventually pro quarterback with his ability to sling it and being 6'5" and having all of those physical gifts.
And Mr. Basketball and Mr. Football in the state of Minnesota. And a McDonald's All-American in basketball decided to focus on basketball and eventually chose Gonzaga over schools like his home state school, Minnesota, Florida, Florida State, Iowa State were other programs that he considered. Just a freshman, if you look at any NBA mock draft, you will see Jalen Suggs listed in the top 5. You and I were doing the game against West Virginia a few weeks back when Suggs suffered what looked like a very serious ankle injury. It was, kind of mid to late in the first half, and he came back in the second half and finished out the game. Shocked both of us the way that it looked when the injury happened.
Well, the way it looked when it happened, and of course we never want to speculate, we did not know, but it looked like an Achilles. Remember the way he responded to it right away, and everybody was fearful, and we weren't the only ones thinking it, I promise you that. But when he came back into the game, just the fact that he wanted to get back out there and really gutted it out was really impressive.
Johnny Smith with another bucket. Pepperdine back within 5, but now a foul on the inside on Andre Ball will send Joel Ayayi to the line.
It's so impressive the way Gonzaga moves without the ball. They cut hard and they move the ball so well. Then you've got Timmy posting up and drawing so much attention that Ayayi was able to get lost on that cut. And Kispert, if you don't get pressure on the ball to take away vision, they're going to pick you apart.
You mentioned it off the top of the show, Joel Ayayi coming off a triple-double in the win over Portland a few days ago. The first triple-double in program history, and maybe most amazingly, he had the triple-double 3 minutes into the second half. There were still 17 minutes left in the game, and he already had it. Ultimately finished with 12 points, 13 rebounds, and 14 assists.
When you saw that Ayayi had the first triple-double in Gonzaga history, I can't lie to you, I was surprised. Yeah. Not surprised that he got it, but surprised that it hadn't been done before with all the truly great players and NBA players that Gonzaga's had over the last 20 years. Plus, John Stockton played at Gonzaga and never had one. That's pretty amazing for Ayayi to be the first, and I know there'll be others, but to be the first.
Robbie Heath off the bench with a bucket for the Waves, and they are hanging around 10 minutes into the game, almost down by 4. Wide open look for Cook, not there, and a better job of the glass this time by Pepperdine.
And that's a wide open three for Aaron Cook, who transferred in from Southern Illinois as a grad transfer, essentially. But, you're not going to get a better shot than that.
Gonzaga now, after a couple of early threes by Kispert, that's it from beyond the arc so far. They are 2 of 9 from three-point range. Ross with a pull-up, and it's a 2-point game.
That is big time. He is so good using ball screens. Doesn't just blast off it, plays with great pace. He can snake through defenders, which he did right before our last break where he got fouled. He's just got a great ability to make decisions and get fouled doing it.
And he's put up some huge numbers. Had 43 in a double overtime loss to St. Mary's in a West Coast Conference tournament game last year, and had 33 in a triple overtime loss to UCLA earlier this season.
Well, Robbie Heath didn't hit that three, but that was a great pass by Colby Ross. Gonzaga's not moving the way they normally move. They got to get better ball movement and player movement. That's the way they play, and thus far it's been a little bit slower than you'd expect from the Zags. Take a look here at Colby Ross, just coming off that ball screen and then pulling up. Timmy wasn't right on top of it, but if you do get up and crowd him, he's going to be able to put a little pocket pass and get it to Kendall Munson there or he just goes over the top and hits the wing on the opposite side. Just a great awareness off of screen roll situations for Colby Ross.
But a problem here for Lorenzo Romar and the Waves. Foul number 2, and at least for now, Ross goes to the bench, and we'll see how long he stays there. He's a senior, and does Romar trust him to get back in there at some point and play with a couple of fouls?
I would venture to guess that after the next break, he's coming back in. That you just want to keep him from picking up that third one before you go to the next TV timeout. But I don't think he's going to spend much time on that bench at all.
Ayayi splits a pair, and it's a 3-point lead for the Zags. Their closest game this year was a 5-point win over West Virginia. Every other game has been by more than that, but they've got themselves a bit of a battle on their hands right now as Heath knocks down a jumper, and the Waves are only down by 1.
Heath is from Australia. He came into this game only 1 of 9 from the field, but he can really shoot it. Excellent free throw shooter. He's got a great stroke.
Ayayi for 3, the assist to Timmy.
It's really good inside-outside interaction. You get it into the post, it collapses the defense, and Timmy's such a willing passer. Hits Ayayi with a great pass.
Heath fouled on the jumper. Ayayi eventually acknowledges that it was on him. He didn't like that call at all. Saturday got a couple of great games to start a full day of college basketball on ESPN. As Jay and I mentioned, we'll have the Tar Heels and the Seminoles at noon Eastern. Then it's off to the SEC for Kentucky and Auburn. Sharif Cooper with a couple of games under his belt for the Tigers. Both games also available on the ESPN app.
Sharif Cooper has been eligible for Auburn for a couple games now. That dude is a baller, man. If he'd played the whole season, he'd be a household name by now. I mean, he's a 25-point-a-game guy. He's that good.
It's close at the Kettle. Gonzaga leading Pepperdine by 2. Number 1 Gonzaga with a slim 2-point lead on Pepperdine. As we mentioned off the top of the show, the Zags have defeated the Waves 39 consecutive times. The last time Pepperdine beat Gonzaga was in Malibu in 2002. And the late Paul Westphal, who sadly passed away very recently. He was the head coach of the Waves then, a Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer, the head coach in Malibu at the time. The last time that Pepperdine defeated Gonzaga.
Paul Westphal was not only a great player, great Hall of Famer, went to Aviation High School in Redondo Beach, not far from where I grew up, and starred at Southern Cal back when UCLA was everything, and had a near undefeated team that only lost to UCLA when he was playing for the Trojans, and then had a great NBA career, large part of that with the Phoenix Suns. I mean, what a great human being Paul Westphal was.
And the officials stopped time. I think the shot clock reset, and they did not want it to reset. I don't think they deemed that to be a change of possession, as the ball was kind of batted around before the Zags got it back. So yeah, there the shot clock is hit 21. And Joel Ayayi coming off that triple-double. He's already got 11 points and 4 steals, 3 rebounds as well, as the tip is up and good for Anton Watson.
Well, they got the ball to Drew Timme on that out-of-bounds underneath. Good cut inside by Heath. That was really pretty.
This is just Heath's 3rd game for the Waves, coming off injuries. Played at Westchester University last year, a Division II school in Pennsylvania, where he scored better than 24 points per game.
Just a terrific pass. Wasn't a bullet, just sort of like one of those, backside shoulder passes you throw to somebody going to the end zone, and just out of the reach of Andrew Nembhard, the defender.
And pretty good English on the reverse layup, too.
Majoring in English. Well, one of the things that Pepperdine has to do is they've got to get Kessler Edwards involved in the game.
Yeah.
When he gets in there, he's got to score.
Right now, Heath becoming the go-to guy for the Waves. You mentioned Edwards. He's a 17-point-a-game guy for Pepperdine this year. He has not scored in this game.
He's about 6'8", really good athlete that can step away and shoot it. Coming into the game, he'd made 17 out of 41 threes. That's about 42%. But he's got great versatility. He's the top rebounder on this Pepperdine team. He can play inside and out. But I don't think Pepperdine can win this game if he doesn't put some significant points on the board.
This is one thing they do very well. 4th in Division I in free throw shooting. 1 of 2 for Heath, and a 1-point game. Heath now with 9 points off the bench. The bench numbers are 16-0 in favor of Pepperdine.
And usually that wouldn't bother you as long as your starters are killing it.
Timme, nice spin move. Got it back, had it blocked. And saved. Great hustle there.
Boy, what a difference to have Ohia Obioha in there to be able to protect the rim. They were missing that when they played Cal State Bakersfield.
And Pepperdine has taken the lead in Spokane on the #1 team in the nation. Cedric Altman with a bucket, Waves by 1.
Kispert hesitated on that shot. He had a wide open 3 and usually does not hesitate.
Jalen Suggs on the drive and draws the foul.
Did a great job, did Jalen Suggs, of going right into the defense. You could see right there that Cedric Altman did not have legal guarding position, and Suggs knew it and just sought out his body and created that contact.
His first points of the night and a chance for a 3-point play. Jalen also second cousin to footballer Terrell Suggs. And as we mentioned before, Jalen with some football in his background as well. Mr. Football in the state of Minnesota last year. Boy, that's a lob into about quadruple coverage right there. That one had no chance of working. Suggs hits the deck and saves it.
Oh, what a pass.
And then all alone, a sweet feed underneath for the bucket.
Boy, Nembhard did such a good job of faking to Kispert in the left corner and then finding a teammate under the bucket. That was just absolutely beautiful. That was like a quarterback looking off a primary receiver. Just outstanding basketball by Andrew Nembhard. Now, after Suggs is able to get him the ball here, that pass fake got the defense to jump and then found Suggs underneath. Just spectacular passing by Andrew Nembhard.
A two-year starter with the University of Florida who transferred to Gonzaga. Has an unbelievable assist-to-turnover ratio this year of 4.5 to 1. 54 assists and 12 turnovers coming into the game tonight. Timmy, and he'll go to the free throw line.
Timmy's just such a good job of running the floor and getting post position under the basket. And then with that four around one configuration that Gonzaga has, he's going to be open. They just have to get the ball to the right angle.
A little bit strong on the free throw there. You see three of the guys on the Zags team with really good assist to turnover numbers, especially Nembhard. Ayayi 3.4 to 1 and Suggs just about 2 to 1.
Well, when you combine that kind of passing ability and feel for the game with protecting the ball as well and being able to play at a high rate of speed and still take care of the ball, that's big time. It means Gonzaga's going to get more shots. And with the way they can score, you get more shots, you're going to be in good shape.
I'm sorry, Jay. Darryl Polk Jr. with a driving layup. That won't make Mark Few happy. That was too easy. And they're getting some minutes out of Polk with Colby Ross on the bench with a couple of fouls. And the block underneath. Kispert will be going to the free throw line.
Kispert has such a great base. Here's just too easy, as you had mentioned, off that little ball screen. There's just no help at all and no communication. And then a terrific job by Kispert. When he caught the ball, caught it, great base, shot fake, and drive. Everything he does is so, I mean, it's so simple in concept, but it's just hard to do. You know, he's such a smart player. He's got great feet and just spectacular technique.
And he's been a big part of an unbelievable run in recent years for the Zags. His record, Jay, he's a senior in 4 years now in Spokane. His record is 107 and 10 as a collegiate. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. The 1-3-1 half-court trap here by Gonzaga. Suggs on the back end.
And Kessler Edwards way too strong with a three. A fresh possession, though, now for the Waves, but not for long. They turn it over. Zags looking to run as always. And Suggs called for the offensive foul. That'll be his second.
Boy, just on that break, that was a heck of a catch in transition by Ayayi. That ball was thrown behind him, caught it with his right hand. You know, tough call for Suggs. Not sure I agree with it, but, you know, it was close.
So Suggs to the bench after picking up his second. And this is where they really benefit from the transfer of Nembhard, getting a seasoned starting point guard in there who can play alongside Suggs or really operate at the point when Suggs is on the bench.
Boy, having Anton Watson at 6'8" with his athleticism to be able to essentially play the point of that 1-3-1, just giving Pepperdine a little bit of a different look. So they can't just, you know, really Pepperdine's kind of been waltzing into their offense without a lot of pressure. So Mark Few and his staff wanting to switch things up a little bit.
Cedric Altman at the line for Pepperdine, a sophomore from Rialto, California, averaging about 6.5 points per game. Give the Waves credit. Again, I know we mentioned it, but coming off a 23-day COVID pause, they do have their entire roster available to them for the first time all season, and they are playing hard, playing well, and giving number one everything they can handle those so far.
Yeah, and Gonzaga, I think, is used to this kind of thing where, you know, you watch some of Pepperdine's tapes. I mean, actually, when I told Lorenzo Romar, you know, I'd watched their last two games, you know, pretty intently, he says, well, you've seen all our dirty laundry. Their last two games, they did not play well. Didn't play well defensively. Their rebounding was poor. You know, a lot of holes that were exposed by, especially Cal State Bakersfield. But you knew that was not the team that played the last two games for Pepperdine was not going to be the team that was going to show up tonight. That they were going to play with everything they had. They've done that thus far.
Oh, bad pass there, stolen away, and this will be an easy one for Watson. And after the Kispert three the time before, all of a sudden it's an 8-point lead now for the Zags.
Yeah, Watson's coming off a really good game against Portland. He had 23, and such a good athlete with quick feet and good skills. And he really can be a game changer defensively because he can guard 1 through 5.
And a Spokane native as well, so playing for his hometown team and playing well. Pepperdine led very briefly for a grand total of 14 seconds, but the Zags have responded. A Kispert three, a Watson steal and slam. Zags by 8.
Yeah, Sean, Michigan's top tier along with Baylor and Gonzaga. I mean, I think Gonzaga's the best offensive team. Baylor's the most complete offense and defense. Actually, Baylor's a better three-point shooting team than Gonzaga. When was the last time we've said that in the last 20 years? But I agree with you. Michigan is spectacular. And Hunter Dickinson has been, along with Cade Cunningham of Oklahoma State, I think the best freshman in America. I mean, what other freshman is playing at as high a level as Dickinson? Just remarkable.
Michigan at 7. That win over Wisconsin was unbelievably impressive. And we both think, Jay, they'll move up to 3 or 4 or something like that when the new poll comes out on Monday with Isaiah Livers and Franz Wagner, Mike Smith, the grad transfer from Columbia. I mean, they just got so many weapons, so many different ways to beat you.
If they're not 3, like I can't make a case for Michigan to be 1 or 2 because of Baylor and Gonzaga. But if Michigan's not 3, there needs to be some sort of investigation because they've beaten 3 top 15 teams
something like
by
that, yeah.
19 or more, which has not happened before. And their game against Wisconsin, after a while, it looked like clubbing baby seals. They beat them so badly, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
They had a run that started late in the first half and carried over into the second half. That was a 36-3 run against Wisconsin, which is a top 10 team itself. You and I saw Wisconsin maybe at their best against what was then an undermanned Louisville team, but Wisconsin's really good, really old, really connected. Michigan had a 36-3 run against the Badgers.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about a run like that in a game against another opponent. You might say, okay, well, I could see that happening. I mean, it's still extraordinary. Against Wisconsin, I mean, what would the odds of that have been going into the game if somebody had said, hey, I think the Michigan's going to go on a 36-3 run against Wisconsin? You go, no way. And it happened.
Kessler Edwards, a 42% three-point shooter on the season, knocks down a 3. 4th assist of the game for Ross, and Pepperdine back within 8. Now they come up with a steal.
But Pepperdine is really rallying to the ball. That was just not a good pass because Timmy was surrounded.
Edwards, same spot and same result, and all of a sudden it's a 5-point game. And timeout, Mark Hugh.
Kessler Edwards is the top three-point shooter on this Pepperdine team. He is 6th in the West Coast Conference in scoring, and he needed to get off the schneid early on in this game. He hadn't scored. He was 0 for 4 and has already knocked down a couple of threes. He's now 2 of 5 from three-point range and scored 6 quick points, and that makes Pepperdine a completely different team.
Older brother Cameron had a terrific career in Malibu, graduated last year. Nemhard with a layup. I'll tell you, I know this. I think if I went to college in Malibu and they granted an extra year, I think I'm staying no matter what. I don't care what my options in life are. If they give me a 5th year in Malibu, Jay, I'm taking it.
Well, I grew up about 20 miles south of Pepperdine, and actually when I was in high school, Jim Herrick was the coach at Pepperdine, recruited me, and he used to call up and say, "It's mighty fine at the dine today, Jay." And he was right. Every day it's mighty fine at the Dine. I'll tell you what, Dan, it's a pretty good decision by Lorenzo Romar. I thought that Colby Ross would be back in the game in no time with those 2 fouls, but look how well that Pepperdine's been able to hang in there essentially without him.
And Nembhard dipped the shoulder. He gets called for the foul. By the way, just for fun, as you heard the guys back in the studio, Sean Farnham was asking Jay about a Gonzaga Baylor being the top 2, so you get another look at the foul. Just for fun, remember Gonzaga and Baylor were supposed to play earlier this year, but COVID issues forced the postponement of that game. It may be a long shot, Jay, but if somehow there was a window available for both programs, both coaches have said they are still very open to the idea of trying to get that game in.
Yeah, basically, Mark Few was saying just leave your cell phone on, and there are going to be a lot of opportunities to try to get games in with all the disruptions we've had. And both Gonzaga and Baylor have tried to find other games. Shaka Smart at Texas. Boy, if I were Gonzaga, I'd go right at Colby Ross right now.
It's Heath guarding Ayayi with 9 seconds to go in the half. Off the fingertips of Timmy. And a shot clock violation will give it back over to the Waves.
Boy, Dan, we've been talking about this has not been the best half we've seen from Gonzaga. Probably one of their least efficient halves. They still got 43 points.
Yeah.
43 points. And they didn't play well.
Good if it goes, and it does. Polk went 3/4 the length of the court, got it off in time, and knocks down a 3 to get Pepperdine within 4 at the break.
Just a poor job by Gonzaga. Aaron Cook wouldn't pick him up, didn't stay in front, just too easy. But a terrific job by Polk, who came in when Ross went out and really did a nice job. Lefty just launching that up, never took his eyes off the rim. What a pick-me-up for Pepperdine going into halftime.
And again, outstanding alliteration from Jay Billis, and effortlessly so. They're checking to make sure that it's good. It sure, with the naked eye, it sure did look like it was going to count. And it is. There it is. It's a 3. And it's a 4-point game. Number 1 Gonzaga getting a real fight from Pepperdine. Time now for the Jeep Halftime Report. Back to the studio. Here's Kevin Connors. Number 1 and undefeated Gonzaga with just a 4-point lead over Pepperdine going to the second half in Spokane. The Zags have defeated the Waves 39 times in a row. That goes back 19 years. But especially after that 3 at the end of the half by Darryl Polk Jr., a couple of late 3s by Kessler Edwards, this is a ball game. Welcome back, Dan Schulman, Jay Billis. Jay, how is Pepperdine so close to Gonzaga in this game tonight?
Well, even though Colby Ross picked up his second foul with about 8 minutes to go and only played a couple minutes at the end of the half, they got really good performances from Robbie Heath, who had 9 points, and then Jody Smith wound up having 7 points. Those two combined 6 of 7 from the field. The rest of the team did not shoot quite as well, but Kessler Edwards got a couple of 3s to go. He had 6 points. They really hung in there. But my guess is that at halftime, Mark Few was telling his team that they weren't strong with the ball. They didn't go hard to the basket. The Drew Timmy wound up. Their offense didn't help their defense, and they wound up letting Pepperdine get out in some transition. Didn't pick up the roller on a pick-and-roll situation, middle of the floor, and then Darryl Polk goes all the way down. The lefty gets easily to the rim, and then this last play indicative of the first half. Great job by Pepperdine, but if you're watching Gonzaga's film, you're saying we're really going to let somebody waltz all the way down the court and get into a shot that easily. So I think we'll see a different Gonzaga team in the second half.
Gonzaga 3rd in the nation in assist-to-turnover ratio, but not good in that department in the first half. 7 assists and 8 turnovers, but what a great start to the second half. The 4th 3 of the night for Corey Kispert.
That's more of what we're used to. A little back screen, and Suggs comes off it, and instead of going to the basket, he looks opposite and finds Kispert spotting up in the left corner. That was just beautiful.
Ball is loose out of bounds. It stays with Pepperdine. Colby Ross, the leader for Pepperdine, 13 minutes, picked up 2 fouls in the first half, 4 points and 4 assists. He's a guy who averages 19 points per game on the season.
Yeah, Colby Ross leads this team in scoring, assists, and one of the top assist guys in the country, leading the West Coast Conference in assists, but also leads them in steals, does so many different things.
That ball poked away from behind by Suggs. He runs the floor, gets it back, lays it in.
Clearly Gonzaga came out in the second half and wanted Pepperdine to feel them and feel them on the defensive end. You can see that Gonzaga moving as the ball moves. They're there on the catch, a little more active.
And a foul on Suggs. That's going to be his third, and that's why you see that kind of a reaction from him. He's frustrated because he knows that might cost him some playing time.
That was just a senior play by Colby Ross. Just really understood that Suggs was out of position and just went right into his body to pick up that foul.
At least for the moment, Suggs will stay. And then Chukwuka backing down Suggs. Suggs hit the deck, no foul call, and then a missed easy one for Ohia Obioha.
Chukwuka back him down, just a little flop there by Suggs. And then I don't know what was called here, couldn't really tell. I guess it was just a foul on the rebound by Kispert. There wasn't a whole lot of contact there.
Watson kicks it back out. Gonzaga a little loose with the ball on this trip, but they've still got it, and now eventually they do turn it over.
And I think Kispert knew as soon as he threw that pass, all he had to do was take one dribble toward the baseline, and he would have had a great angle to get that ball into Timmy. As soon as he let it go, you could see he knew that was not the right pass to make.
Kispert and Ayayi leading the way for the Zags, each with 14. Nobody in double figures for the Waves. The scoring a bit more balanced for them. Gonzaga coming into the game tonight averaging 96 points per game. Ball bounces to Ayayi, and he winds up getting fouled, and he'll head to the free throw line. By the way, the last whistle, Jay, when we were wondering what it was at the other end of the floor, evidently it was a flop warning call going against Jalen Suggs, I believe.
That was the right call because that was a flop. I just don't understand why they have to stop the game to make those warnings. It doesn't seem like they should. I mean, they wait until later on to check out. And it's not the referee's fault, it's the rule's fault. But heck, they wait until the next stoppage in play to see if something's a 3 or a 2. They could wait to give the flop warning.
I don't know if they're talking about the flop call or the foul call, but Suggs has had a couple of calls go against him in the early stages of the second half.
You know, Dan, what the best way to eliminate flopping is don't reward a flop with a charge call, which way too often happens. That'll stop flopping.
And now Ayayi gets called for the foul, and he is yelling that he got held or he got hooked, I think is what Ayayi is saying. But the call's going on him. That'll be his third.
Yeah, just a little hook by Colby Ross. That's the intelligence level of him being able to draw fouls. Now the question is, was that a hook and hold? Did he hook with his right arm and sort of lock Ayayi's arm when he was going around that screen? Remember how many of these we had last year?
Yeah,
at the beginning like of the year especially. Play they were looking at hook and hold plays.
Okay, watch coming from the left side of your screen. The right arm of Ross, just for a moment, you could see it kind of hook under the right arm of Ayayi, and you could see Ayayi's saying something to that effect immediately.
Well, the question is, where was the start of it? He might have hooked him at the end, but that was after the call was made, or why the call was made. I mean, it was clearly he was hanging on to his arm, but that doesn't mean he wasn't fouled first. Like, they're supposed to call the first foul.
Tomorrow we've got an NBA Friday doubleheader coming your way on ESPN. First up at 7:30 Eastern Time. It'll be Luka and the Mavs taking on Giannis of the Bucks. And then at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, a good one between the Pelicans and the Lakers. Our coverage starts with NBA Countdown at 7 Eastern. And look who's putting up big-time numbers for New Orleans. You know all about Zion Williamson, but how about Brandon Ingram and the numbers that he's putting up this year?
Yeah, started with the Lakers, but when he wound up with New Orleans, he's really starting to blossom. Can really play all over the floor. And both he and Zion Williamson, the top scorers for that New Orleans team, J.J. Redick, their best shooter. Boy, this has taken a ridiculous amount of time, isn't it? And they're still going to talk about it.
And just speculating, but I'm wondering if they're talking about exactly what you were saying. Yeah, he may have hooked him, but was the foul by Ayayi prior to that?
That's the thing. Is
that a foul there, and then is that the hook there? I don't know.
Well, it's pretty clear it was a foul first, but does that mitigate the second? And I just don't know the answer to that, whether it's still a hook and hold or whether it's just a play on after that. Because a hook and hold, it was an automatic flagrant before.
And again, Jay and I are not physically in Spokane, so we're at a little bit of a disadvantage here. But if the conversation was with Mark Few, then I think all we have probably is the common foul on Joel Ayayi.
And that's the right result. It just took too long to get to the right result.
So Ayayi's got 3, and Suggs has 3. Suggs has gone to the bench. Nembhard is now in for the Zags, but Ayayi is still on the floor. And there's another Gonzaga foul. This one is on Watson, his second.
And Anton Watson has done such a good job of getting Chukwuka to pick up his dribble and essentially stop the play. He didn't need to reach in with one hand there. If you can get the ball with 2 hands, go after it with 2 hands. But it's going to be difficult to knock it out of somebody's hands like that without picking up a foul.
Ross from the corner won't go with a rebound to Kispert. Gonzaga will look to push at every opportunity, but now Nembhard gets called for the foul. And Jay, I believe that's number 3 on Nembhard.
A lot of Gonzaga guards getting in foul trouble. I don't agree with that. I don't think he got there, but those are the good kind of charges where it's the primary defender. It's not the secondary defender coming over.
The Zags in transition again. Nembhard trying to go the distance again. It's out of bounds, but still belongs to Gonzaga. So Suggs with 3, Ayayi with 3, and Nembhard with 3 early in the second half. And you can see in the background there, Ayayi just went to the bench.
Well, the good news for Gonzaga, they've got a lot of different options for players coming off the bench, and it's a pretty darn deep team, especially at the guard position.
Timmy with a turnaround, left it short. You know, Jay, he's got 7 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Those are good numbers early in the second half, but it has been a relatively quiet night so far, it feels like, for Drew Timmy.
It hasn't been his strongest moves with the ball, either going to the basket or even that last play. Like, he can make a fadeaway. He's got so many different moves down in the post, but he just hasn't gone with the same kind of strength that he has throughout the season. I mean, you know, Dan, he's averaging over 18 points a game, just under 7 rebounds. He's a really good offensive rebounder, and his footwork is really magnificent for a big guy.
And how about this, Jay? Nembhard, his 4th. He's out. Suggs back in with 3. And a guy who may factor into this game large down the stretch is Aaron Cook, the point guard and a 5th-year senior from St. Louis, went to Southern Illinois. An experienced player, a 2-year starter at Southern Illinois, and with the foul trouble for the other point guards, we may see a lot of minutes for Cook in the second half.
Yeah, Cook is a really good defender.
Suggs has to be careful playing with 3, knowing that Nembhard's got 4. And a wide open 3 won't go down for Dominic Harris, 6'3" freshman from Murrieta, California. Second time in a week, Jay, that we have said Murrieta on the air in one of our games.
Yeah, Evan Mobley and Isaiah Mobley from USC, both from Murrieta.
So Harris getting some minutes because of the foul trouble in the backcourt for Gonzaga.
We give a lot of credit to Pepperdine's defense, but some of the decisions, the passing decisions, have been un-Zag-like in this ball game.
Timmy will be at the free throw line when we come back. Some foul trouble for number 1 at Gonzaga, but they're still leading by 7. Number 1 at Gonzaga leading Pepperdine by 7. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Joel Ayayi coming off the Gonzaga program's first ever triple-double. This was just 5 days ago on Saturday at Portland, 12, 13, and 14. And Jay, we're seeing a lot of good things out of Ayayi again here tonight.
Ayayi is a complete player. He can obviously score, rebound, and pass, but he's an excellent defender, a fantastic cutter without the ball, and just makes very good decisions. His timing is great. He passes out a pick and roll. You mentioned he's got 4 steals. He got those early in this game. 7 of 10 from the free throw line, 16 points in this ball game, saddled with some foul trouble. But how about this, Dan? I mean, for Gonzaga, they got 50 points. They're shooting 45% from the field, and they've made 5 threes. And the feeling you have because of the standard they've set this year is, well, they haven't played well at all.
Right.
And that's how good this team is. They put up 50, and we're like, that's pretty good.
Boy, Pepperdine had another great opportunity to get even closer, but Victor Ohia-Obioha, for the second time this half, missed a chippy right at the rim.
Boy, really good job by Colby Ross to take away that little pitchback action that Suggs and Kispert were running, where Kispert just runs behind Suggs to get a quick 3.
Ross really knows what he's doing out there in every respect, doesn't he?
He's got a great understanding of the game. When coaches say he's got a great feel, that's coach speak for he's a really smart player. Like, you just can't have feel without being smart out on the floor. It's just it's like when you say, hey, this kid really knows how to play. It means he's a really smart basketball player.
And there he is drawing another foul. And he has done a lot of that here in the second half. He's got the freshman in Harris covering him right now.
Yeah, just a nice spin move along the baseline and gets Harris into the air and then able to draw that foul. I bet for his size, he draws more fouls than any other player in the country.
A senior from Aurora, Colorado. Pepperdine's all-time leading scorer and assist leader as well. And the Zags are well aware of him. In the 2 games between these 2 programs last year, Ross had 47 points and 16 assists.
And he's so dedicated that it's said, I haven't seen this because I would never do this, but it said he gets up at 4:30 in the morning to get shots up. That would only be a rumor. That would only be a rumor to me. I would never confirm that on my own.
When's the last time, other than to make a flight, when's the last time you were willingly up at 4:30 in the morning?
When I was driving Raftery home.
So that feels like an asterisk. I think in the record book, that one comes with an asterisk.
That's more the Gonzaga we've come to know. Turning defense into offense, getting something easy. We haven't seen much of Gonzaga getting easy baskets in this game. Spectacular save by Jalen Suggs, and then a great pass at the end by Cook to get it to a running Kispert for an easy bucket in the lane. And you got to do difficult things. You got to do the hard things to get easy baskets, and we haven't seen a lot of easy baskets from Gonzaga tonight.
Yeah, they had a ton of them Saturday against Portland. And right now, according to our stats monitor, fast break points are 11-9 in favor of the Zags. We've got another foul going against Gonzaga. Timmy, and you could see the motion from the official that his feet were inside the restricted area. Pepperdine is going to be shooting a lot of free throws in the second half.
Yeah, Timmy just had that right foot Just that right heel really thought he got there to take that charge on Edwards. I don't think it would have been a charge anyway. He slid underneath him.
A timeout on the floor. The Zags battling some foul trouble, but they're now up by 9. Out in transition. Cook to Kispert. Colby Ross has started each and every game of his Pepperdine career. 109 games, has started all of them. Maybe no game that he has had, Jay, in a Pepperdine uniform more impressive than what he did in the West Coast Conference Tournament a year ago against St. Mary's.
Had 43 points, and Dan, Mark Few was telling us the other day that Colby Ross and then Jordan Ford at St. Mary's were the two guys they played in the last few years that at times are unguardable. And he has been unguardable because of not only the skill that he has, but it's also the will. I mean, he has a tremendous will on the court, not just to win, but to make the right play. And it's really a pleasure to watch Colby Ross play basketball.
38 in a game against USC last season. 33 in a game earlier this year against UCLA, a triple overtime loss.
And Lorenzo Romar, asked him recently, what would you like to see your team improve upon? He didn't hesitate. He says, we got to defend, we got to rebound at a higher level. I mean, the game against Bakersfield, they got crushed on the glass. Now, Bakersfield's a really good rebounding team. North Carolina's the second best offensive rebounding team in the country. Bakersfield's number 1.
And it goes. Timmy with a chance for a three-point play.
Much stronger move by Drew Timme. Stronger with the ball. Stronger post move. That was a much more aggressive move to the basket and used that left hand to get it off the glass. Just so poised when he gets the ball in the post. He's got great hands, a drop step, up and under, fade away. And he's also an excellent passer out of the post. So when it goes in there, it's not just a black hole. If he gets doubled, he can find an open teammate.
And he was a guy, had a terrific freshman season, but it feels, Jay, like a lot of people saw this big step forward to where he would have become one of the best big men in the country in his sophomore year, right?
Well, he's playing essentially not behind Filip Petrusev, but Petrushev's going to be the guy that they went to more often. Yeah. But he's really matured into being a go-to guy as a big guy for Gonzaga.
Forces it up and hits.
Right on cue. But, Dan, that's kind of what Gonzaga is. It's sort of old school in a way that I think when you go there, you expect to get rewarded when you play well, and you will. But there is a kind of, you don't want to say wait your turn, because these guys are all competitors. They're not going to wait. They're going to play their tails off, and they want it now. But you do have some maturing that you're going to do behind, at times, better players that are older and more experienced. And, that's what we've seen out of Drew Timme. He just gets better and better. And that's been the journey of Corey Kispert as well when he came in. He played a supporting role and had some great moments, and you could see this guy's going to be really good. And, the one thing is, Mark Few and his staff, they're believers. Like, they know that even though a player as a freshman may not be showing what they're capable of later on, they know what they're going to be. And like that guy right there, Mark Few, I've not been around many believers like him. Like I can tell you that years ago, guys like me would say, hey, when are you going to take a big time job? Are you going to maybe take UCLA or this job or that job? Because you can win one there. And he's like, we can win one here. He's been saying that for 20 years. Like, we can win the national championship here. And he was right. And he was one of the only ones that thought that. And he's the reason why they're doing this.
Almost won the national championship in 2017. He made it to the national championship game, lost to North Carolina. The last 5 years, this excludes last year, of course, because there wasn't a tournament. The last 5 tournaments, Gonzaga's gone Elite 8, Sweet 16, national runner-up, Sweet 16, Elite 8. They have made the tournament in every one of Mark Few's seasons. as head coach. And of course, Dan Munson coached them to the Elite Eight and then left to go to Minnesota. Mark Few was an assistant, took over, and has elevated the program to where it is, without question, one of the premier programs in America.
It's one of the greatest success stories in, I think, American sports history. Like, there's no, people say that want to be detractors. That's fine. Like, it's okay to be skeptical of things. But they'll say, well, they've done it out of the West Coast Conference. Okay, well, if you want to say, okay, it's a smaller conference, it's not as hard to get to the tournament as it is in the Big Ten. Okay, that's fair. That's a fair point. But show me who's done that in other small conferences. There are 25 small conferences.
Right.
Who's done it? And the answer is nobody. Nobody's done what Gonzaga's done at this level for this period of time. It's absolutely remarkable.
There's been great stability on the coaching staff. Tommy Lloyd's been with them forever. They do an unbelievable job recruiting internationally as Watson lays it in.
Well, look at the caliber of player that they're recruiting. I mean, years ago, they've always had outstanding players, but there was an aspect of Gonzaga, 15, 17, 20 years ago, where it was kind of a little engine that could. They were ultra skilled, but now they're not only ultra skilled, they're ultra athletic and explosive and NBA first-round draft pick type stuff.
Yeah.
When you just saw that one of them in Jalen Suggs, you don't see those kind of behind-the-back moves going to the basket. That wasn't what they were doing 20 years ago.
Offensive foul. We'll give it back to the Zags. When we come back, all of a sudden they've got their largest lead of the game. It's up to 15 midway through the second half against Pepperdine. Check out this move from Suggs. Gonzaga now with a 15-point lead over Pepperdine. We were just spending a few minutes talking about what an incredible program this is. Of course, you go back, and I mean way back, shorts back. John Stockton played for Gonzaga, but more the last 20 years is what we're talking about. Look at some of the great players who have been in this program. Adam Morrison, Kelly Olynyk, very recently, Domantas Sabonis, Nigel Williams-Goss, Rui Hachimura, Brandon Clark, Zach Collins, just to name a few. Those are remarkably talented players, and I'm sure there are cardboard cutouts of a lot of other great players in other areas at the kennel that we weren't able to show. But it's really been, as you said, Jay, one of the great success stories.
I'll take Gonzaga grades for 400, Alex. That was very good. You got the whole row. Was there any prior knowledge of what you're going to see there? You would have gotten them anyway, I'm sure.
You want the truth? Yeah.
I wonder if the Gonzaga players, like if all the alums are complaining about, like, Richie Fromm and Blake Stepp and Matt Santangelo are going, hey, where are we? Are we upper deck? Like, we don't get the good seats?
Remember, it was just a 4-point lead at the half. But Gonzaga's come out with, I think, a little bit more intensity and purpose here in the second half, in spite of the foul trouble that they've had.
Well, and the term you use, purpose, they've been cutting with a purpose, moving without the ball. That's a very good pass and good drive of the closeout. Holy cow. Everybody that falls down, it's a charge. That was not a charge. But they've been doing a much better job of moving without the ball and as you said, cutting with the purpose. That is not even close to an offensive foul. He's going the other way. I don't know. You fall down, you get an offensive foul these days.
Aaron Cook called for the offensive foul, so back over to Ross in the Waves. It is a 22-9 run for Gonzaga in the second half. That is the score in the second half. Now Watson called for the foul. We talked about how they've gone, all over the globe to recruit. They didn't have to go very far to get Anton Watson. He is a Spokane kid. Adam Morrison, Sean Mallon, the two other players of note, local kids who have gone on to play for the Zags. And Watson played for John Stockton's AAU team, is also good buddies with one of Mark Few's sons. But he's not here because of connections. He's here because he's a really good player, too.
He is really good and is going to get even better. He's an above-the-rim finisher that plays with a ton of energy. And the next step for him, he's been working on his perimeter shot. And if he's able to stretch that shot out to three-point range where he can consistently make it, you combine that with that athleticism, and he's a very good defender to be able to switch out on multiple positions like Anton Watson can. Now his shoulder's healthy. Good player. What a move. Oh.
How many big guys in the country can do that and make it look as easy as Timmy just made it look?
3.
Ross misses the 3. You know, you talked about guys getting better year by year and then, having a breakout season. Watson's a pretty good candidate to put up some really big numbers next year, like Ayayi is doing this year.
Yeah, Ayayi's now got 20 points in this ball game. What a player he is. Just so impressive to see him play every facet of the game, and he doesn't take a play off. He defends at a high level. We've already talked about his rebounding's big time. He's a leading rebounder on this team. Excellent passer. There's nothing he can't do for this Gonzaga team.
Boy, Timmy going to work. No hesitation right there. Spin move and a finish.
Complete control of what he's doing. His footwork is just spectacular.
And apparently, according to Coach Few, he can talk a pretty good game on the court, too.
These guys are competitors.
Yeah.
But he came in with that, coming in from Texas. He's always been able to talk a little trash.
Cedric Altman knocks one down, a bucket for the Waves. Going to get a 4-point game of the half, a 20-point lead for Gonzaga right now. But now a turnover on the handoff and a foul committed by Ayayi. That'll be his 4th. Saturday, a couple of really interesting games on ESPN to start a day and evening of college basketball. Mr. Billis and I will have the Tar Heels and Leonard Hamilton Seminoles fresh off a huge win over North Carolina State in their last game. And then it'll be Kentucky and Auburn out of the SEC Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Both games also available on the ESPN app. Another look at a beautiful reverse by Drew Timme, who's having a big second half. Spin move and another finish. Zags by 20. All right, thanks, guys. I love how Sean Farnham just advertised his own lack of versatility in praising Kevin Connors and Dallin Cup. He just admitted, he is what he is. But what he is pretty good, right? He's very likable, very personable. He's a wonderful man.
A wonderful man. I'll tell you what, though, when you hear the news about NFL head coaches, I mean, I can't help but think, what does Eric Bieniemy have to do to get a job, a head coaching job? It's ridiculous. He needs to be hired as an NFL head coach, and it needs to be now. I just don't understand it.
I should know this, but who's your NFL team?
Oh, growing up in Los Angeles, it was the Rams until they went to St. Louis, and then I wrote them off until they came back.
Oh, so
I don't like this move around stuff, Dan.
Yes. But what you're saying is your team's playing my team in a playoff game on Saturday, I believe.
Yes.
On the frozen tundra.
Yes, the Edmonton.
Come on.
Isn't that your team? Are you the Edmonton or are you more of a Rough Riders guy?
No, I'm a Packers guy through and through. It's not going to be quite cold enough for Packer fans' liking. At this time of year, especially against a warm weather team, you want an ice bowl, or if you're a Green Bay fan.
Well, the Packers are going to win.
Coming up on SportsCenter, as Sean mentioned, Kevin Connors will be there along with John Anderson as Urban Meyer. The answer in Jacksonville. The Rockets take on the Spurs without James Harden. Boy, what a big day in the NBA yesterday. And they will revisit one of the greatest quarterback matchups ever, Mahomes and Mayfield, from their collegiate days.
Actually, Baker Mayfield started out as a quarterback. He's a walk-on at Texas Tech before he transferred to Oklahoma.
Well, both teams are really getting after it. Pepperdine cannot finish. Gonzaga #1 and undefeated. They've been #1 from week 1 this year. They're 1, Baylor's 2. 2 with a few undefeateds in the country as Altman will lay it in for the Waves.
I think Mark Few wants to talk about this one. I don't think he's very happy with the turnovers and how loose the Zags have been with the ball. It's really one of the only things to complain about in this second half. First half was not what Gonzaga is used to. Second half has been a little more like it, and it has been led by Drew Timme. He got about 7.6 rebounds. I think, Dan, you would remark that it hadn't seemed like a Drew Timme type performance, but boy, the last 7-8 minutes has been more along the lines of what we expect from one of the best big guys in the country. His footwork just spectacular. He just doesn't have an on-off switch. He's a hungry scorer with a great feel, and his feet are just spectacular.
When it's all said and done, I know this is highly speculative, but we've talked about how they've got 3 guys on the Wooden 25 list. You know, when it's all said and done and they get down to 10, or then you have a 5-man All-American team announced at the end of the season, you know, is it possible to get multiple guys as first-team All-Americans? I guess it is. You think Gonzaga's got a chance at having a couple of guys, 2 of these guys be first-team All-Americans?
Absolutely. I mean, I think Corey Kispert's making an unbelievable case, not only for first-team All-America, but I think right now, I think Luka Garza of Iowa is the National Player of the Year. I think he's going to be. I think he is right now. But I do think Corey Kispert is giving him a run, and it's at least a good discussion. But there's so many, you know, there's going to be so many players. Like Jared Butler would be on it for me from Baylor. Some of the traditional powers, whether it's Duke or North Carolina or you name it, Kentucky, you know, they're not going to have players from those teams cracking first-team All-America with the seasons they're having. And so it's going to open it up for you could have multiple players from a team like Gonzaga and get, you know, Jared Butler making it, things like that.
Boy, Suggs had a layup there, but instead he gets an assist as Kispert knocks down another 3, his 5th of the game.
And Kispert didn't get off to a great start, but you know, he keeps playing. Kispert's the guy you have to stop on this team because he's the one that can go crazy on you. You know, they have 3-4 guys that can make threes, but there's only one that can make 7 or 8, and you're looking at him, Corey Kispert. He's already made 9 in a game this year against Virginia, 32 points, made 9 threes. He's shooting just a notch under 50% from three-point range, period. Like, he came into this game shooting, 48% from 3?
Yeah, he's 61, 48, 87 on the season. Field goal percentage, three-point percentage, free throw percentage.
That's Reggie Miller stuff.
Yeah. Said he came back to school to improve on some of the things he heard from the NBA and to win a national championship. And they got a shot, don't they?
They got a great shot.
And a friendly roll there for Chukwuka as he knocks down the 3, the Pitt transfer. By the way, coming up about just over 10 minutes from now on ESPN2, another West Coast Conference game. It'll be BYU and St. Mary's coming up at the top of the hour.
Yeah, BYU and Gonzaga played an unscheduled game after Gonzaga couldn't play against Santa Clara, excuse me. And, you know, so interesting listening to Mark Few. You know, he gave great credit to Mark Pope and BYU for playing that game on short notice. But, you know, a lot of coaches say we'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. You know, Mark Pope clearly means it, but so does Mark Few. He will. He'll play anybody. And basically, what did he say? You know, just make sure you have your phones on because there's a lot of conversation about, hey, we got an open date and we want to play. It's like scheduling a pickup game used to be.
They've got a game coming up at St. Mary's Saturday night, and you can see that here on ESPN. Chukwuka again from the corner and knocks down another one.
Boy, that was a really nice pick and pop. Yeah, Timme jumping out on that screen roll situation, and Chukwuka just went right into the corner. He really gave himself some space where it was a tough recovery.
Kispert again, Jay. His 6th on the night.
It's ridiculous. And after a slow start, turning the ball over for Gonzaga, they've got, 17 assists now, and Kispert's 6 of 11 from 3 in this game.
A game high 23 points for the senior. Another one for Chukwuka, his 3rd 3 in the last couple of minutes.
He was 5 of 20 from 3 coming into this game. He's already hit 3 in this one.
Mark Few wants another timeout. When we come back, number 1 Gonzaga, number 2 Baylor. A tale of the tape from Jay Billis on the other side of this timeout. Number 1 Gonzaga, unbeaten at 12-0 all season long. People have been talking about Gonzaga and Baylor. Gonzaga and Baylor. There are just a handful of unbeaten teams who have played a reasonable number of games this year. Michigan, of course, wow, again, with a win over Wisconsin. They are 11-0, but Gonzaga and Baylor, I think everybody thinks, are 1-2. They were supposed to play. They couldn't play. They might still play. Who knows? Jay Billis gives us a tale of the tape on these two heavyweights.
Well, paint scoring, you give the edge to Gonzaga, not because of just Drew Timme and their inside scoring, but because they can get to the rim, and especially in transition. Three-point shooting, despite Corey Kispert being a great three-point shooter, Baylor is the better three-point shooting team. I think Gonzaga is the better passing team of two very good passing teams. They are excellent passers, handlers, and cutters. I would give the edge to Baylor in rebounding, not only size but strength, and Mark Vidal Jr. also, and defense Baylor, because they've got Davion Mitchell, mentioned Mark Vidal. They're a better defensive team. Gonzaga's the better offensive team, Baylor the better defensive team. But Dan, only Baylor is ranked in the top 5 in both offensive and defensive efficiency this year. Gonzaga, they're number 1 in offensive efficiency. I think they're number 20, 21 or something in defense.
Everybody would love to see whether they can somehow get it rescheduled during the regular season, or whether they run into each other, say in Indianapolis in April, that sort of thing. If they played tomorrow, Jay, do you think one team is better than the other? Who would you pick to win that game right now?
I would probably give a little bit of an edge to Gonzaga because of the way they score. They're such a great offensive team. But I think by the end of the season, it's going to be awfully difficult to play against Baylor. It's tough to play against them now, but the longer we go, the better they're going to get. And I think I would love to see these teams play, and I think they will play in Indianapolis. Now, experience, you give a slight edge to Baylor because they're older at almost every position. The toughness is even. Both these teams are tough. Baylor is tough physically and mentally, so is Gonzaga. Hustle is even. Both these teams are competitors. Go-to guy, I would give an edge to Kispert. It's just slightly over Jared Butler as the go-to guy. Gonzaga's got more offensive go-to guys. I think more players capable of busting out for 25 than Baylor, but with Flagler, Mitchell, Teague, Butler, I mean, they've just got, Baylor's legit. They're really good. I think they're better than last year.
And they were terrific last year. They would have been a 1 seed in the tournament. Both of those programs, Gonzaga and Baylor, would have been 1 seeds last year.
Yeah, Baylor had I thought, a great chance to reach a Final Four. I thought Kansas had one of its best shots to win it last year. And I really felt for, Baylor, Florida State, San Diego State, teams like that, because those were maybe the best teams that those schools had ever had.
Suggs gets to the rim again. Boy, not to wear out the football analogy, and I know he's a quarterback, but boy, he's like a running back. When he finds a seam, he is gone. And this time he's got an easy deuce to add to his totals.
Just so explosive getting to the rim. And, we were talking about Gonzaga maybe not having their best first half and, turn it over. Like, he just blows right through that opening. Nobody comes over. Edwards tried to get there but couldn't do it. And just a great finish at the rim, just so explosive. But Gonzaga's going to score 100 again. And they didn't put up near the first half that they were capable of, and give Pepperdine a lot of credit there. But this team scores a ridiculous amount of points.
Coming into tonight, they are the first team in 30 years since Loyola Marymount did it to score 85 or more in their first 12 games, and they've already cleared that hurdle here tonight.
Well, Dan, remember back in 2009 when North Carolina had that great team, wound up winning the national championship with Tyler Hansbrough, Ty Lawson, Wayne Ellington, that Danny Green, that crew. They scored like these guys, except that they didn't score quite as easily, I'd say. But I remember talking to Roy Williams, and he would say, well, our defense has to get better, but kind of acknowledge that it's kind of hard to get a team to play defense the way you'd like when they can score 100 points falling out of bed. Yeah. And that's the way these guys are. They can score 100 points. They scored 98 on Virginia. They put up over 100 on Kansas. I mean, you just don't, that doesn't happen by accident. These guys are legit.
Kispert with a terrific night to lead the way. 6 threes, 23 points. Timmy with 20. Ayayi with 19. Suggs with 18.
You wonder what the hair is going to look like for Kispert by the end of the year. If they're, with COVID, can they get haircuts or are they having to go Flowbee?
Saturday got a full day of college basketball action for you. Jay just mentioned Roy Williams. We'll see Coach Williams' Tar Heels taking on the Seminoles in a big-time ACC matchup at noon Eastern, and then into the SEC for Kentucky and Auburn at 2 o'clock. Both games are also available on the ESPN app. As we mentioned last time we talked about these games, Florida State dismantled NC State last night, 105-73. I mean, they're always deep and athletic and big, and when they make shots, they made 12 threes last night, and it was, I think, as good a game, maybe what Florida State did last night and what Michigan did against Wisconsin. Two of the most impressive performances, Jay, that I've seen this season.
It was ridiculous, and MJ Walker was terrific, but they blew the doors off of NC State. And NC State's good.
There's a guy in the game right now for Gonzaga. We've talked about how people develop and they get better year after year. 33 in white. Ben Gregg, a freshman from Clackamas, Oregon, who graduated early from high school. So he's signed, he's active, and he's getting a few minutes here and there. This guy, from talking to Mark Few and from watching him just in the few minutes that he's played, he looks like a couple of years from now we could be talking about him in glowing terms, Jay.
Yeah, maybe before that. He's got size, obviously, at 6'10", but he can shoot it. He runs the floor well. He can rebound. He's been playing with the scout team primarily, but Mark Few wants to get him more reps with the top guys and see how he blends in, because before the season's over, he can play meaningful minutes and really help this team out.
When you get to go up against a guy like Timmy in practice every day, that's not the worst thing in the world either. That helps you.
Well, that's kind of the thing, Dan, about the amount of talent that and experience that Gonzaga has, is their practices are ultra competitive. So players that aren't getting a ton of playing time in games are getting significantly better every day in practice. And some of the games, not to be insulting to some of their opponents, but some of the practices they have are going to be more difficult than some of their games.
Sports Center with John Anderson and Kevin Connors coming up next here on ESPN. Gonzaga on its way to a 13-0 start, 4-0 in league play, as the tip is good for Dominic Harris to make it 95-70.
Really nice move there by Strother. He's coming off a good game. He had 12 against Portland in the time he...
Greg down with a rebound, and the final seconds will run out on this game. Gonzaga got a stern test in the first half, only led by 4 at the break, but they win going away. Kispert and company with big performances at the offensive end, and it's a 95-70 win for Mark Few's team as they go to 13-0 on the season. Thanks for watching tonight. We appreciate it. More basketball coming over on ESPN2 with BYU and St. Mary's. But Sports Center coming your way right now here on ESPN. Here are John Anderson and Kevin Connors.